There's a moment in life when noise becomes unbearable, when every opinion feels like an echo in a canyon of emptiness, and suddenly silence becomes your only teacher. It's in that silence that the ancient Stoics found their power, not by speaking louder, but by understanding deeper. They learned that strength isn't in control, but in surrender, not in reacting, but in remaining rooted when everything around you trembles. You are so precious for being here right now. The fact that you clicked and chose to watch this, it means something. It means you're hungry for truth, not just comfort. You're searching for something real, something that lasts longer than the moment. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just knowledge, it's life for your soul. Please subscribe, like, and share this message, so that others just as precious as you may also find this light. America, a land once seen as the symbol of strength, courage, and divine destiny, where faith was the cornerstone and discipline was the foundation, where men and women worked not for applause but for purpose, where the quiet prayers of farmers, soldiers, and mothers held a nation together. But somewhere along the road, something shifted. The stillness that built the heart of the nation was traded for constant noise. Patience gave way to speed. Reflection was replaced with reaction. Wisdom drowned in the flood of opinions, and in the chase for progress, many lost the art of peace. Now, anxiety has become the anthem. Every scroll, every argument, every distraction steals a piece of the soul, and we wonder why peace feels so far away. Yet even in this chaos, there are those who remember that strength was never about dominance, it was about endurance. That victory was never about shouting louder, it was about standing still when storms roared. That real power was never found in what others think of you, but in what you believe about yourself. And you, right now, are part of that remembrance. Because the moment you paused to listen, the moment you chose silence over noise, you began to reclaim something sacred, the same stillness that Marcus Aurelius wrote about. When he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You see, the world glorifies speed, but speed without direction leads nowhere. The world praises noise, but noise without wisdom destroys peace. Yet those who master stillness attract everything. Those who walk with calm draw the world toward them like rivers returning to the sea. For stillness is magnetic. It carries an energy that cannot be imitated, only cultivated. When you learn to be unmoved by chaos, to listen without rushing to answer, to breathe before you speak, you step into the same eternal rhythm that guided the Stoics, the prophets, and the wise. You begin to see that peace was never lost, it was only forgotten beneath the noise. So let this be your reminder tonight. Slow down. Listen. The answers you've been searching for are not hidden in the world, they're buried inside you. Every trial you've faced, every disappointment, every heartbreak, they've all been chiseling your soul into something unshakable. And it begins with 6 words. As long as you breathe, there is hope. Because breath means purpose. And purpose means you are still part of a story greater than your pain. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are becoming. So breathe again. Let peace return. And remember, in this age of noise, the greatest revolution is stillness. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Let others find what you've found, the courage to be still. The stillness America forgot. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Imagine New York City before dawn. No horns, no chatter, just the hum of distant electricity pulsing through the veins of a sleeping city. The streetlights paint golden veins across empty roads. The air carries a soft chill, and somewhere in the distance, a single window glows. That is what your mind was meant to feel like. A quiet city of light, before the world wakes. A mind alive, but not loud. Present, but not pressured. Silent, yet full of meaning. The ancient Stoics understood this kind of silence. They didn't chase attention, They attracted respect. They didn't shout to be heard. They spoke only when words were needed. Epictetus said, "You cannot control what happens, but you can control how you respond." And that one truth, simple, timeless, built unshakable souls. America once lived by that truth. It was born from calm conviction and fierce discipline. From farmers who rose with the sun, to founders who wrote by candlelight, crafting words not to impress the world, but to guide it. They believed that true power didn't come from noise, it came from stillness. Stillness was not weakness, it was strategy. But somewhere along the line, the nation that once paused to pray before it acted, learned to act before it thought. We replaced reflection with reaction, meditation with distraction, silence with endless sound. And now, so many hearts beat fast, yet feel empty. You see, the world has confused motion for progress. We scroll instead of study. We shout instead of listen. We compare instead of create. And yet deep within us, even in America's busiest cities, there's a quiet whisper that says, "This isn't what we were made for." The Stoics would call that whisper the logos, the divine reason that connects all things. It's the same stillness that guided Marcus Aurelius through war and guided Washington through winter. That same stillness is waiting inside you. And if you slow down long enough, you'll feel it. Imagine the American heart not as a battlefield, but as a calm sea reflecting a rising sun. Imagine if every soul learned to pause before speaking, to breathe before reacting, to listen before judging. Wouldn't that change everything? That's not weakness. That's wisdom in motion. If you want to attract others, truly attract them, you must first be at peace with yourself. People can feel energy before they hear words. They can sense chaos before you speak it. They can feel calm before you express it. And in a world where everyone is shouting, the one who remains silent holds the most power. Your silence speaks louder than opinions. Your calm presence is a magnet. Your patience, your discipline, your refusal to be shaken is what makes people trust you, follow you, and remember you. The Stoics knew this secret long before self-help existed. To be magnetic, you must first master your mind. To influence others, you must first influence your inner world. Because how you react is your greatest message. Peace is not passivity, it is precision. It is knowing when to move and when to be still. The founders of America lived this way. They studied by lamplight. They listened to silence before they spoke to nations. Their restraint was their strength. Their patience built progress. Their stillness was their weapon. Now, centuries later, that same spirit calls to you. It asks you to pause, to stop chasing what was never yours to hold, to find yourself again in the quiet. Because everything you seek, clarity, attraction, peace, is born in that sacred space between thought and reaction. That is where your transformation begins. That is where the 6 words live. And once you speak them, you'll understand that true strength was never about doing more. It was about being still enough to hear truth whisper back, "Here they are. I am enough as I am." 6 words, soft yet strong enough to shift the axis of your entire life. Say them slowly. Let them roll over your tongue and rest on your heart, not as a whisper of hope, but as a declaration of truth. Because this isn't a slogan. It's a returning to the person you were before the world told you who to be, before comparison planted its seeds, before the noise convinced you that you were incomplete. The world today, loud, restless, endlessly scrolling, feeds on your doubt. It whispers that you're not enough, that you need more money, more validation, more perfection to be worthy. And every time you believe it, you give away a piece of your peace. But the moment you say these 6 words, you take your power back. I am enough as I am. These words are a quiet rebellion, a sacred refusal to be defined by the crowd. They are the echo of every ancient soul who learned that truth was not found in applause, but in alignment. America celebrates the self-made, the conqueror, the builder, the unstoppable dreamer. But what it often forgets is this: true strength begins in self-acceptance. Because no matter how high you rise, no success can silence the storm of self-doubt. Only acceptance can. When you say, "I am enough as I am," you step out of the race. You stop chasing people. You stop begging for attention. You stop proving your worth to those who were never meant to understand your path. And paradoxically, everyone becomes drawn to you. Because peace is magnetic. Peace is the rarest energy on earth. It's confidence without arrogance, strength without noise, love without demand. And that, right there, is the American soul reborn. Not the one defined by conquest or status, but the one that remembers that a nation's greatest victory is not in what it builds, but in what it believes. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Self-mastery begins not with discipline alone, but with acceptance. Because if you reject who you are, you'll always be at war, even in silence. But when you breathe and say, "I am enough as I am," the war ends. You return home to yourself. And that home, that quiet place within, becomes your fortress. From there, you no longer chase approval. You radiate peace. You no longer seek to control outcomes. You trust the process. And when you stop resisting yourself, life stops resisting you. Every great leader, every wise teacher, every humble heart that ever changed the world, they didn't start by shouting. They started by accepting. Jesus did not choose the perfect. He chose the willing. Moses stuttered. David fell. Paul doubted. Yet each one learned this divine truth: you are enough for God to work through you. So if heaven can call imperfect people to perfect purposes, who are you to say you're not enough? You were not created by accident. You were breathed into existence by intention. And if you could see yourself the way God does, you'd stop apologizing for existing. Say it again: "I am enough as I am." Say it until the words no longer sound foreign. Say it until your reflection feels like home again. Because when you truly believe it, you become unstoppable, not through ego, but through peace. The world may keep spinning in noise, but you'll stand still in truth. And from that stillness, greatness will grow, quietly, faithfully, unshakably. So today, let this be your prayer, your philosophy, your revolution. I am enough as I am. Because once you believe that, everything changes. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet wrote like a servant of wisdom. A man surrounded by soldiers and senators, but guided by silence. He once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." And those words still echo through every century, whispering to the restless hearts of every generation, including ours. You don't need fame to be magnetic. You don't need perfection to be loved. You don't need a flawless history to walk in peace. You only need authenticity, a heart unshaken by chaos. That's what truly attracts people. Not your titles, not your followers, but your calm presence in a world that forgot how to breathe. America once understood this. Its greatest heroes, Washington, Lincoln, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., were not loud, they were steady. They carried storms in their hearts and peace in their eyes. They didn't argue what good should look like. They became it. That's the Stoic fire, quiet, controlled, unbreakable. It's not a fire that burns others, it's a fire that purifies self. A flame that doesn't roar but refines. You see, the Stoics never spoke of strength in noise. They found power in restraint. Epictetus was born a slave, yet his wisdom outlived kings. Seneca was surrounded by luxury, yet warned that comfort can dull the soul. Marcus ruled the mightiest nation on earth, yet spent his nights writing to himself about humility, death, and virtue. That's the Stoic paradox. The more power you hold, the more peace you must master. And that's what America needs again. Because today, chaos is currency. Anger trends, outrage sells. People measure value by volume, how loud, how viral, how constant. But real influence, the kind that heals instead of divides, comes from silence, discipline, and peace. America doesn't need louder voices. It needs calmer souls. Men and women who can stand still in storms, who can speak softly in rooms filled with shouting, who can lead not through fear, but through example. You are one of them. Because the fact that you're here, listening, breathing, learning, means the fire still burns in you. The same fire that guided the Stoics, the same light that built nations. When you whisper to yourself, "I am enough as I am," you're not just comforting your mind, you're commanding your spirit. You're saying to the noise, "I choose peace over panic." You're telling the chaos, "You don't get to define me." And that kind of calm, that unbothered, grounded strength, draws people like gravity pulls stars into orbit. Because deep down, everyone hungers for peace. They may chase attention, but what they crave is presence. They may scroll endlessly, but what they long for is stillness. And when they see it in you, they stop. They listen. They're drawn in. Think about it. The strongest leaders in American history didn't scream their power. They embodied it. George Washington didn't beg men to follow. He simply led. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't fight with fists. He moved the world with words and faith. Their calm was their command. Their peace was their persuasion. And so it must be with you. Because every soul that remembers its inner fire becomes a lighthouse for others. Every calm heart becomes a revolution. Every act of stillness becomes a flame that spreads quietly, powerfully, eternally. So breathe. Stand still. Let the fire within you rise, not to destroy, but to illuminate. And know this: the world follows those who walk quietly with truth. Because while noise fades, truth endures. And while the loud chase attention, the calm inherit peace. So be that light, America. Be that soul the world remembers. Not for shouting, but for shining. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Look around and you'll see it. A nation that's tired. Tired of shouting. Tired of fighting. Tired of pretending everything is fine when inside the soul trembles for rest. America, once the land of dreams, is now a land of distractions. People wake to notifications instead of purpose. They scroll for belonging but feel more alone. They argue for truth yet listen to no one. And beneath it all, there is a quiet ache, a longing for peace. But peace, true peace, does not come from the noise of agreement. It begins with one soul choosing stillness. It starts with you. The Stoics understood this. They didn't live to impress. They lived to express truth, to align their actions with their values, to walk through chaos untouched. Not because life was easy, but because their hearts were disciplined. America has lost much, but it can be rebuilt. Not through louder voices or new slogans, but through hearts awakened to truth again. Homes torn by division can be healed through understanding. Hearts weighed by anxiety can be lifted through purpose. Minds haunted by fear can find rest through stillness. And that restoration begins with 6 words. The same 6 words that have echoed through this message. I am enough as I am. Say it when the world tells you you're behind. Say it when your worth is questioned. Say it when the weight of comparison crushes your joy. Because these words aren't empty. They are anchors. When you whisper them, your soul remembers its origin. You are not a mistake. You are not a failure waiting for validation. You are a being created with purpose, with depth, with divine reason. Peace is not found in perfection, it's found in presence. When you stop chasing approval, when you let go of trying to fix every perception of you, you begin to attract everything real. That is Stoic peace, not emotionless detachment, but a sacred calm that nothing external can steal. America was built by such calm, the pioneers who crossed deserts, the thinkers who wrote in candlelight, the mothers who prayed through war, the dreamers who believed tomorrow could be brighter. They all carried peace, not as luxury, but as armor. And today, that same spirit calls to you. It whispers, "Be still." It reminds you that the greatest revolutions begin quietly, in the heart of a man or woman who finally stops running. These 6 words are not self-worship. They are self-acceptance, the soil where greatness grows. You cannot serve, love, or heal the world if you have not first made peace with yourself. The Stoics knew that a calm mind commands storms. That self-mastery is the highest form of leadership. So say it again: I am enough as I am. Let it settle in your spirit. Let it rewrite the years you spent believing you had to earn worth. Because you don't. You already carry it. And when you live from that truth, you become magnetic. You attract those who are tired of pretending. You radiate a quiet power that makes others feel safe. That is what the world needs now. Not more argument, but more alignment. Not more fame, but more faith. America's rebirth won't come from policies or platforms. It will come from people. People like you, calm, grounded, awake. People who live by truth, not trend. People who understand that peace is power. So let this be your daily prayer, your morning mantra, your midnight reminder, reminder, I am enough as I am. Because when a soul accepts itself, it becomes unstoppable. When a nation learns that peace is strength, it becomes unshakable. And when even one person, you, chooses calm over chaos, the world shifts just a little closer to heaven. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. You are the calm this world needs. The quiet fire, the steady flame in a time when so many have forgotten what stillness feels like. You are the whisper of peace in a culture that glorifies noise. And your presence, your simple decision to listen, to breathe, to be, is changing more than you realize. Because peace has power, and calm, true calm, is contagious. Remember this truth deeply. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop proving, you start shining. And when you finally believe that you are enough, just as you are, you become untouchable. The world cannot manipulate a soul that knows its worth. Society cannot sell emptiness to a person who already feels whole. When you understand that your value does not depend on approval, you stop playing the games others lose sleep over. You rise above the noise. You become rare, and because of that, radiant. America was built by people who stood in this same strength. They weren't perfect, but they were grounded. They knew that stillness was not weakness, it was wisdom. They built empires not by shouting, but by showing. Not by demanding attention, but by walking with conviction. And now that same strength calls out again through you. Because a new America doesn't begin in politics. It begins in people. People who remember how to be still. People who carry peace into chaos. People who know that character speaks louder than words. So let this message echo across your heart. Let it rise like an anthem of renewal. For a new kind of greatness, one not measured in power but in peace. Not in pride but in presence. Not in how loudly we speak, but in how deeply we live. Because America doesn't just need more voices, it needs more hearts that listen. It needs men and women who can rebuild the quiet strength that once made this nation great. Not with noise, but with noble stillness. Not with division, but with discernment. And you right now are part of that rebirth. Every time you choose to pause instead of react. Every time you forgive instead of fight. Every time you speak truth with gentleness instead of anger, you are healing something greater than yourself, Say these words again, slowly, with conviction. I am enough as I am. Let them settle in your bones, because you are enough. Not because the world says so, but because existence itself proves it. You were chosen for this moment to bring light, calm, and direction to a tired generation. And as you walk in this truth, everything meant for you begins to move toward you. Opportunities find you. Peace surrounds you. Love recognizes you, because stillness is a magnet for all that is pure. You don't need to run anymore. You don't need to compare or convince or chase. Everything that's meant for your soul will never miss you. It will meet you when you become still enough to receive it. That is Stoic truth. That is divine order. That is peace reborn. So let this message travel far. Let it reach the hearts of those who've forgotten their worth. Let it remind America that power is not in shouting, but in knowing when to be silent. That strength is not in control, but in surrender. You are enough as you are, and because of that, you will attract everything meant for you. So please, subscribe, like and share this message, so that others, just as precious as you, may find this same peace. Together we can rebuild the quiet strength that once made this nation great. One heart at a time, one truth at a time, one soul at a time. And when the noise of the world fades away, your calm will still be shining. Because peace, your peace, is the new revolution.